This is Gemara Baba Basra, Daf Lamid, and we're holding on Chav Tesam and Beis, about 8 lines from the bottom. Hahu da'amer li lechavre. And now we're beginning a bunch of stories that are going to go for many, many blat, and each story is brought down to highlight a unique aspect of a chazakah. Says the Gemara, there was someone that said to his friend, "My boys, what are you doing in this house? It's my house." Amar Le, he says, "Yeah, it was yours, but guess what? Minach Zavante, I purchased it from you. V'achalti shnei chazaka, and I've been living here for the years of chazaka for 3 years." Amar Le, the owner says, "Ana b'shchuni gavoy avoy. I was inside the house while you were here." Maybe you were wondering what all that rumbling was. In the shchuni gavai, in the inside bedrooms, I was living. Asla came to Rav Nachman. They came to Rav Nachman. Amar lei zil barur achilascha. Told the person that was occupying the house, said, "Prove it. Prove it that you were there on your own. Prove it that there was no one else there, and then you indeed would have your chazakah." That's how Rav Nachman paskind. Amar le Rava, comes along Rava, and Rava says, "What are you talking about? Heicha dina. How is this the din? You're telling me that the person that claimed to have been there, he has to bring a proof. What do you mean? He's there right now. So therefore, the original owner has to bring the proof. Because whoever's there, by his very nature being there today, shows that the owner is being mighty. The owner is the one that's trying to take it away from him. So why are you saying that the one who lived there has to bring the proof? Asks Rava. The owner should have to bring the proof. Says the Gemara of Rami the Rava. We can ask a stira within Rava itself. Rami the Rav Nachman ad Rav Nachman. Stira is both in Rava and the Rav Nachman. Dahu. There was a guy, as we turn over to Lamed Amid Aleph. Tamar le lechavre. He said to his friend, called Nechsei Bar Sisin Mizdavnina Licha. All the properties of Bar Sisin, the name of an estate. Ruvain tells Shimon, one tells his friend, "I'm selling you that entire estate, all those properties." There was a certain piece of land owned by the seller. Davi Mikri Dve Bar Sisin. That was called Bar Sisin. But the question was, is it because he originally bought it from Bar Sisin, or that was Tam, the name of the land? So Amar Lei, the seller said, "Halav Dve Bar Sisin. This is not Dve Bar Sisin. Ve'kroi Udemikri Dve Bar Sisin." This is getting confusing. We call it that, but guess what? This is not what I sold to you. I sold you called Nechsei Dve Bar Sisin, and this is not included in that sale. Also, like I made Rav Nachman, Ukba biyada l'lekeach. Rav Nachman, and if you're following, this is obviously going to be the beginning of this stira. Rav Nachman over here sides with the lekeach. Again, let's remember in our case, Rav Nachman said that the lekeach is the one that has to bring the raya, the one living in the house. Over here, Rav Nachman said the lekeach is right. Amrle Rava. Now in this case, Rava comes along and says, "Dinachi, not with the lekeach. Rather, in this case, says Rava, we knew it used to belong to the seller, so it's considered to still belong to him." So what do we see? Ask the Gemara, 8 lines down. We have a double stira, double kasha. Kasha de Rava, Kasha de Rav Nachman, de Rav Nachman. Says the Gemara, de Rava like Kasha. That is not a stira. Hasa meicher koi b'nechsei. Hasa lekeach koi b'nechsei. Rava has one yeside. Rava's one yeside is what? Ha maitzi mechaveroi olav araya. So it depends who is the one that is the machzik, who is in the property. In one case it is the meicher, in the other case it is the lekeach. The Rav Nachman, Nami Loi Kasha. Why? Kivan Damar Le Dvevar Sisin. Umikrayo Dvevar Sisin. Alei Dide Rami Liglui Delav Dvevar Sisin. Since he said I'm selling Dvevar Sisin, and this is called Dvevar Sisin, so you want to say not, you got to bring a proof. But in the first case, in our original case, can it not be that the one who is living there should have a star? If we would tell him, show us your star and it's yours. Therefore, said Rav Nachman, in the first case, the guy living there, he's the one that has to prove that it is indeed his, that he has his 3-year chazakah on his own, and the other guy, the original owner, was not actually living with him. So that's case number one. Again, case number one is someone has a chazakah and the seller claims he was there throughout. Whom is the one that has to bring the raya? Rav Nachman said the buyer is the one that has to bring the raya that he lived there on his own. And Rava said, no, he's there, so the seller has to bring the raya. We thought we had a stira, and we answered it up by being mechalik. About 12 lines from the bottom, a similar beginning. My bayis, my beisa. Someone says, what are you doing in my house? He responds, I bought it from you. And of course, if you're realizing, part of the difficulties over here is that the seller is agreeing in use to belong to the incorrect. The buyer, the current guy there, is agreeing a use belonged to the seller, which of course is the reason why it's difficult to substantiate who is the owner, because he's agreeing that he used to be the owner. The question is that he had a chazakah now. He's saying he transferred ownership. So Amar Lei, so the one who's living there says, Bishuki, Mirach Zavar, chazakah. Amar Lei, the original owner says, Bishuki Baroi Havai. I was in a very faraway market for the last 3 years, and therefore the fact that you're living in my property was inconsequential. I wasn't around. Amar Lei. So one living there says, but I have witnesses. I have witnesses that you would come home every 30 days. So you indeed could have known I'm in your property. Amar Lei. So the seller, the original owner, says, all 30 days that I came back. You're right. I used to come back to do some business, but I was in the shuk, and I never had a moment to realize that you were living in my house. We have a very fascinating machlaikas that the buyer is claiming he's been there for 3 years, and the seller is claiming he's been away. He's come home, but he's been busy with business. He hasn't come back to his house, to his property, to see that this guy is living there. Amar Rava, so Paskins Rava, Ovid, Inish, it's normal that you're Tara B'Shuk, and therefore the fact that this guy says he has chazakah is not enough of a raya, and unless he obviously has any other proof. But if not, the original seller is believed to take back his house. Case number 2 of the day. 3 lines from the bottom. Case number 3. Amar Lei, so the one of the property says, I bought it from Pliny. I bought it from a certain guy. The Amar Li, and that guy said to me, he bought it from you. Meaning again, he's agreeing that it used to be your field, but I bought it, not from you, from someone else. Amar Lei, so the guy who's claiming to be the owner says, Atalav Kamaidis. Do you not admit, as we turn over to Lamina Bebeis, Tahayara Didi? Do you not admit that this land is originally mine? And of course he did. And as well, you're admitting that you didn't buy it from me. Meaning, the guy currently in the field is both agreeing that this guy was the original owner, and he's also agreeing that he didn't buy it from him, but rather he bought it from a third party. So his original seller says, Zil, get out of here. Lav bal dvarim didiyat. I don't got to be busy with you. You're agreeing it was my field. You're not saying you bought it from me. So the fact you're claiming you bought it from another guy, get out of here. Amar Rava, says Rava Dina the Kamar Lei. That is indeed the halacha. The guy who's claiming to be the original owner has a good taina, and he can throw this guy out of his property. 3 lines down, Laman of Beis continues the Gemara with another story. Someone says to his friend, my boy is Vayara, what are you doing in my field? Amar Le, he responds, Biplan Yazavne, I bought it from a certain guy, so again, obviously the nuance of difference over here, that in this case, he's no longer agreeing and saying that the other guy was the original Bailim. Over here, he's just saying he bought it from someone else. Amar Le, Miplani Gazalno. What do you mean? That guy is a Gazlon. That guy stole it. Amar Le, obviously Sadi, Tasai, but I have witnesses that I came and I told you that I was going to buy the field. V'amartali, and you were the one that said to me, Zilzavin, go and buy it. So clearly you didn't believe that you didn't say it wasn't yours. You didn't say it was stolen. You told me to buy it. Amar Le. So this guy who's claiming that the field is originally his says, yeah, I told you to buy it. You know why? Because I wanted to take you to court to get my field back. The original guy was a strong guy. I didn't think I'd be able to get it back from him. So Amai Rava, 3 lines to the white lines, Dina Kamerle. It's a good taina, and it's going to go back to the original owner, the guy that's claiming that it was stolen from him. Says the Gemara, whom does this go like? Kiman. Ke'admoin. Who is Admoin? That's now we learned in the Mishnah. If someone is Meir that the field that someone else has is his, but there is a signature on the document that says that they sold it. So what's the halacha? He could say that the second guy is easier, therefore that's why I allowed it to be in his possession. And say the Chachamim, moving over to the first white line, Ibed es chusai. If you signed on the shtar, then you have lost your schos. So as the Gemara, this seemingly only fits with Admain and not with the Chachamim. Says the Gemara, that's not a kasha. Filu tema Chachamim keeps it Chacham also avalei ma'isa. Dibure of it. Over there, it's true. He did a whole ma'isa, and that's the reason why we had to assume that such was the din. But by us, it's just words that he spoke. Dibure of it. Excuse me, Avlacha Diburi. Of it inish, the Mikri V'amar, the people talk, and therefore doesn't necessarily hurt his taina. We continue with another story in the second white line. What are you doing in my field? Amar Le, he responds. I bought it from a certain guy. I've been here for 3 years. Amar Le, Plani Gazalno. Amar Le, obviously Sadi. I have witnesses. The Asis, Beorta, Vamarta, Lizamna, but I have witnesses that you came last night and you said, sell me the land. So if it was yours, why are you willing to do that? What I meant to say is, Izvin Dina, I'll buy what is mine, and therefore I won't have to go to court. This is a normal case that I'll buy is right, and therefore the guy who's challenging, he'll get back the field. And one last case, 6 lines from the bottom. Someone tells his friend, my boy is Vayara. What are you doing in this land? Amar Le. He responds, I bought it from such and such. Amar Le. Guess what? I have a star that it's mine. I have a star that I bought it from the guy that sold it to you. 4 years ago. It's very good. You're claiming you bought it 3 years ago. Beautiful, but I have a star. I owned it prior. Armali misavris. Shnei chazaka. Do you think that when I said I used it for the years of chazaka, talash shni kamina? Shnei chazaka tuva kamina. I meant I was there for many years. So the fact that you have a star from 4 years ago, I bought it even prior to that. Amar Rava Avanin Shtekar Lishani Tuva Shnei Chazaka. It's normal to call many years the years of Chazaka, therefore he'll get it back. Vani really says the Gemara, Ta'achlam Sheva. He had to be there for 7 years. They called him Chazaka Ta'ishtara. Why? Because if you're there for 7 years, then he had his own 3-year chazakah before this new shtar. Aval, as we turn over to Lamed Aleph, Amid Aleph, Aval Shes is Ein Lacha Machal Yol Mizu. If he only was there for 6 years, then there's no raya at all, because that's the greatest macha by buying the field, and we'll pick it up from here, B'siyata Dishmaya.